The Christian worldview teaches that there is something wrong with the world. And of course, that thing that's wrong is that sin has entered the world. However, not always is it the case that everybody agrees with us, right? We can point, however, to certain things that are external. There are certain things in the world that perhaps everybody agrees with. For example, a lot of people will agree that there are wrongs in the world, like human trafficking or racism or other types of social injustice that they'll point to and say, yeah, those are things that are wrong, that are in the world, but there isn't like some overarching big sort of wrong that exists that we are somehow accountable to, that we're all guilty of. And I think this is an interesting point, and it is certainly a way in which we can sometimes enter into a more personal and relevant discussion about the wrong that is in the world. And here's how sometimes I take this particular conversation. I will simply ask a person, I'll say, look, I don't know you, and I don't certainly know everybody that exists in the world, but there is something that I know that is true of you and of me and of everyone in this world. And that is that at times in our life, we feel guilty. And the reason that we feel guilty is because we are guilty, right? We don't oftentimes live up to our own standards, let alone if there's a God, we certainly don't live up to the standards of God. And so I think sometimes that one of the best ways to show that there is something wrong with the world is to make the conversation personal and ask a person, hey, if you're being honest with yourself, isn't it the case that sometimes you do feel guilty? Sometimes you do set goals and standards for yourself, but you can't even meet your own standards, your own goals? Well, how much more significant is that inability for us to live up to those standards if there is a God who made us and we live in his jurisdiction and he has set a standard of morality for us to live by? Man, there's no way we can live according to that standard, right? And so this is a reason why oftentimes we genuinely feel guilty, because we are guilty. Now that's the problem, but the beauty of what the Christian message says, which is what the Christian worldview teaches, is that though we are guilty, there is a solution. And the solution to guilt is forgiveness. And that's precisely what Scripture talks about. That although we have violated God's commands, though we have committed crimes against a holy and righteous Creator, he loves us. He doesn't want us to be punished. He doesn't want us to remain guilty. And he's made a way for us to be pardoned for the crimes that we've committed. And of course, that's the Christian message. And I think this might be a helpful way for us to sometimes engage a person to show that there is something wrong with the world, specifically them, and how Christianity is a solution to that particular problem.